all the fish in the bucket now. Not one fish at a time as a reward. All of them.
And he's got a gun!
What it is, guys? It's your boy BlastphamousHD. Now, given today's video is called Peter Griffin's Get Rich Quick Schemes, I figure I'd let you guys in on one of my latest business ventures. I'm opening up a used car lot called Grand Theft Autos. I would be auto, you know what I'm saying? Now, these would be used cars at a very reasonable price, some as low as $50 to $75. Now, the used car lot is gonna be any lot. I'm talking about parking lots of Walmart, Kmart, basically anywhere that people keep their cars while they're in the store shopping. You know, to which case I'll be able to sell you guys the car at a very reasonable price as long as there's no questions asked. Some of the cars might even have the family of the people that's inside of the department store. But nevertheless, if you guys want to watch the original video, links in the description down below. Let's do this.
From wild lottery tickets to bizarre business ideas, Peter has come up with some wild schemes that have landed him in trouble, or sometimes, surprisingly, paid off. Here are 10 of those wacky get-rich-quick plans. Kicking off our list is the episode Lottery Fever, where Peter finds the answers to the eternal question, what would you do if you won the lottery? Well, if you're Peter Griffin, the answer involves gold suits, BB guns, and financial decisions that would make Warren Buffett cry himself to sleep. The episode begins with Peter acting impulsive as always and asking Lois for money. His brilliant business proposal? A sushi restaurant where he can yell at customers in Japanese. His stellar pitch includes practicing Japanese, followed by the kind of casual racism that only Peter Griffin could get away with.
I don't care about the sushi. I just want to yell at customers when they walk in the door. Irashaimase! Hajime-mashite! Here comes a black guy!
Lois refuses, hitting everyone with a curveball that they're low on money and have to go on a strict budget, which means no fancy hairstyles for Brian, or rather, no hairdos at all.
Hey, isn't it time for me to get a haircut?
Oh, no. I think you just got one.
With a stroke of luck, the family learns of the Rhode Island lottery, which has hit a value of $150 million, and Peter already has dollar signs glistening in his eyes and a huge light bulb over his head. With his newfound get-rich scheme, Peter runs off to get his winning ticket. Wait, my bad. I mean tickets. Thousands of them, in fact.
Everyone, I got big news. We are gonna be rich.
Oh my God, Peter, there are thousands of lottery tickets here.
When asked how he could afford all those tickets, Peter does not hesitate one bit to let everyone know that he has doomed them all. This man has nerves of steel.
Where did you get the money for all these?
Simple. I took out a second mortgage on a house.
With the stakes at an all-time high now, the family waits patiently for the results to get announced. Lois can already see Peter's plan going up in flames, and so she too has her backup plan ready in case things go bad.
They're going to announce the winning lottery numbers. Time for the Griffin family to meet its destiny.
When we lose, I'm getting a divorce.
Understood.
Faced with the impossible task of going through 200,000 tickets, the show quickly puts on a montage to ease everyone's suffering, but it seems like Peter hasn't been entirely honest about the sea of tickets lying around in the room.
Well, that's it. 3 days wasted looking through 200,000 lottery tickets.
Those weren't the lottery tickets. That was a test.
A test? You called that a test, Peter?
These are the lottery tickets.
Is this another test?
Yes. These aren't the real lottery tickets either. These are the real lottery tickets.
This is some Christopher Nolan type shit going on because, damn, Brian, who surprisingly goes back to checking the lottery tickets instead of beating the life out of Peter, finds out that the first ticket he has picked up is the winning ticket. And so we cut to the Griffins' kitchen full of money stuck in every corner, which I'm not sure is how you're supposed to safekeep your newfound wealth. Lois already knows what's coming their way and warns the family not to lose their heads.
Okay, everybody just calm down. We're not gonna go crazy spending our winnings, and we're not gonna let this money change us.
But does Peter care? Hell no. He has plans, Lois, and nothing can stop him now, not even common sense. The resulting faceplant is probably the most expensive physics lesson ever learned.
I just bought a giant room full of gold coins, and I'm gonna dive into it like Scrooge McDuck. It's not a liquid!
Peter transforms into a walking ATM for his friends, but with strings attached thicker than his neck. Even his best friends are trying to get into his wallet, and they're not being subtle about it, especially Quagmire, with his plans of investing Peter's cash into some very questionable products.
What would you rather do? Tread water where you are right now? Or increase your net worth 5-fold within the next 18 months?
Huh?
Peter, I've taken the liberty of mocking up some sales projections.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And this would be our net profits.
Yikes.
Yeah, if only straight
Alright, a lot
arrows
of
could
people try to hit
predict
me
the
with this
success
one.
of your investments, life would be a whole
A
lot
lot
simpler,
of
Peter.
people.
Once again, it was time to bounce. Peter
People will hit you with that business plan. And if you say no, you're awful. The worst person even. Good Lord.
wasn't exactly happy with the idea that his friends were going away, especially when he gave them so much cash. And with the kind of sentences he's using, I assume his definition of friends resembles more with slavery.
What? No, I mean, I'm just saying. I thought friends hang out, do things with each other. You know, especially when one friend gives the other friends a whole bunch of money. From now on, we're all going to do whatever I want to do. Because I'm the one with the dough.
And so poor Quagmire and Joe find themselves performing Makin' Whoopee while dodging BB gun shots like they're in some twisted version of America's Got Talent.
Okay, guys, now you're going to do a synchronized duet of making whoopee while I shoot you with this BB gun.
That doesn't sound safe.
Hey, Joe, open your eye. Gotcha!
What the hell, Peter? You shot him in the eye!
After blowing up his friend's eyes for no other reason other than the fact that Peter gave him the money, Peter goes back to his mission of splurging his money in the worst way possible, getting everything in gold. That's right, even his tuxedo.
Peter, my God, what the hell are you wearing?
It's a solid gold tuxedo, Lois. I had to fight 3 rappers down at the nonsense store for this.
When confronted by Lois over his spending habits and jerky behavior towards his best friends, Peter gets infuriated, saying he doesn't want them back because he has better friends.
Who cares? I don't need Quagmire. And I certainly don't need Joe. I got money, Joe.
Lois isn't really happy with the way Peter is acting after getting his newfound wealth, but that all changes when Peter gives her a giant diamond ring, because nothing says I love you quite like jewelry with a body count. The other kind of body count.
Peter, it's beautiful. Is it a blood diamond?
Ah, the bloodiest. The 2 kids who found it were forced to murder each other.
When they go to a restaurant, Peter discovers his credit card got declined, and his money disappeared. Like all good things and most Peter Griffin schemes, the money runs out faster than free samples. The family solution? Play the lottery again, because if there's one thing the Griffins are good at, it's not learning from their mistakes.
What do we do now? Well, seems like our only hope is the lottery. Holy we won twice and we're right back here again.
We had $150 million and we blew through it in a month.
In the end, Peter returns to his regular life, probably planning his next get-rich-quick scheme. Maybe next time he'll try investing in crypto, because when it comes to Peter Griffin, the only thing bigger than his wallet is his ability to lose it all. Next up, we go all the way back to the beginning. That's right, it's the first episode of Family Guy, with the weird animation and voice acting that sounded like they recorded it in someone's bathroom. In this episode, Peter, suffering from a booze problem, finds out there's an unlimited supply at a stag party, and immediately afterwards, we cut to him spread out drunk on a table. You can pretty much guess what happened. Turns out he drank 36 beers and passed out. A new record for the family. His explanation to the kids?
Kids, Daddy only drank so the Statue of Liberty would take her clothes off.
Which is a legitimate.
We get
That's a
our
legitimate
first
thing.
peek inside Peter's brain, and it's exactly what you would expect.
Dick, you ever wonder what's outside those walls?
Before working at the brewery, Peter used to work at a toy factory, a job which required him to be as vigilant as possible in order not to let anything harmful get past him. But Peter, he just did not care one bit.
Now look sharp.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's not worry. Surely the parents would notice what they're buying are definitely not toys. Oh wait, never mind. I spoke too soon.
Come on, baby Heimlich, spit it out.
Consequently, Peter gets fired from his job at the toy factory, and now he's facing a much dangerous task, breaking the news to Lois. At dinner, Peter breaks the news to his children but decides to keep it from Lois after choosing to listen to the satanic side of him, because somehow listening to the guy who looks like a demon is suddenly not a bad idea.
Lie to her. It's okay to lie to women. They're not people like us. I don't know. Hey, where's the other guy? Come on, you bastard! I'm late for work!
Peter tries his best to keep the news from Lois because, trust me, he's very close to letting it slip. I'm honestly surprised Lois didn't catch on even once.
What's that, Peter?
Nothing. The lost my job smells great.
What?
Meg, honey, can you pass the fired my ass for negligence?
After trying his hand at different jobs that are well suited to Peter's intelligence levels, he returns home defeated and beaten, with no option but to come clean to Lois.
And then I had that job as the sneeze guard for the salad bar at that restaurant. Take it outside, lady.
He's forced to finally tell Lois about losing his job, but instead calls her fat for no reason whatsoever, which begs the question, has he never seen a mirror? I mean, the guy is literally twice her weight. Anyways, Peter gets caught by Brian, and as he's getting advice from his dog, which is weird, he finally gets the big break he's been looking for.
You really ought to think of your family's welfare.
Jeez, Brian, that's a great idea.
Finally, getting on the welfare bandwagon, Peter starts getting checks from the services, and it looks like they may have someone working there who likes making some pretty serious typos.
Wait, that's a comma, not a decimal.
Whoops.
Brian suggests calling the office about the error because Peter cannot possibly spend 150 grand a week, but boy, is he wrong. Peter has all kinds of plans ready, and they're about to see the light of day.
Come on, you guys. I'm going to buy us the most expensive meal we've ever had. Yeah, I'd like 6,000 chicken fajitas, please.
I beg your pardon?
6,000 chicken fajitas.
They even get a moat to protect themselves from the Black Knight because that's a thing which exists. Goodbye, Black Knight. We'll never see again, like ever. Unfortunately, Lois is given the welfare check by the mail lady and storms at Peter for lying to her. Peter decides to return the money to the taxpayers in the most logical way possible.
Oh boy, I hope Lois is watching. Okay, taxpayers, here you go.
Their giant blimp is eventually shot down by a single pistol, which makes no sense whatsoever, but we'll take it. We cut to the court, where the judge grills Peter over not alerting the authorities, but he has some excuses lined up, just in case.
Well, I was gonna call him, but my favorite episode of Different Strokes was on.
Lois tries to explain he is not that bad, and she loves him and insists that no matter what, she will always stand by her husband. The judge agrees.
That was very moving, Mrs. Griffin. Okay, you can go to jail with him.
What?
Oh, Stewie then whips out his mind control device and forces the judge into letting his father go free and get his job back, thus ending Peter's mission in speedrunning the grind, which honestly would have worked if he wasn't an idiot. At number 8 is a raunchy yet hilarious episode from season 15, where Quagmire gets fired and finds a new calling in life, which is really well suited to someone like Quagmire, if you ask me. And that dream job is, being a male stripper. Wow, talk about rock bottom. When a pilot strike hits Quahog Airport on a Thursday of all days, because apparently labor disputes respect weekend schedules, our favorite pervert with a heart of gold finds himself grounded.
But first, pilot strike at Quahog Airport. Picketing began on Thursday, weird day to start a strike, and both sides appear to be at an impasse.
Quagmire, fed up with the strike, comes across a bachelorette party, which is like the perfect honeypot for this guy. You'd have to chain him up to keep him out of there.
Can I fit this in? Okay, cool, I got time.
And so, Quagmire slides into the party like a creep, sliding into your DMs. Turns out, wearing his uniform in the middle of the night wasn't such a bad idea, especially when the women at the party were expecting a guest entertainer.
Finally, the stripper's here!
What? No, I'm not a stripper, I'm a pilot.
There's definitely one word going through Quagmire's mind right now, and it's jackpot. And so, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, Quagmire discovers his true calling. Back at the Clam, Peter and the guys are surprised when Quagmire has to go picketing in the middle of the night again. Intrigued by Quagmire's urgency, Peter follows him to a strip club where it becomes apparent what's happening. As they sit through Quagmire's performance, they realize their best friend is now a stripper and maybe even something more. Who knew taking off clothes could put on more money than flying planes?
I've been out of work for 3 weeks. I'm out of money. I had to do something. I am a dancer, not a gigolo.
Captain Cockpit, my friend is about to get married, and we were wondering if you'd have sex with her for $500.
Yeah.
I'm a gigolo.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Quagmire's living the high life. He can even afford dry cleaning. That's right, folks. We're talking, I can actually wash my delicates money. Quagmire turns into a full-blown gigolo, a fact that he has to hide from his cop friend Joe, who is quick to point out that prostitution is illegal.
You know, I gotta tell you, I was sweating that pilot strike, but now that I'm a gigolo, I'm making money by the fistful.
Hell yeah.
Is that a giggity?
That is a giggity.
Just when you think things couldn't get more ridiculous, Peter Griffin decides to become Quagmire's pimp. Because apparently, watching your friend's business is what friendship is all about in Rhode Island, and after pushing one of such customers' buttons both literally and figuratively.
So I'm gonna play with your doorbell until you pay up.
Fine, here's your money.
Peter realizes he can make a lot more money out of this, and he doesn't even have to do much except wear purple suits and harass clients by playing a doorbell symphony at 3 a.m. Well, it's all fun and games until Quagmire calls in to tell Peter that he's tired one day, and we can just tell by the way Peter is dressed that no is not a word you'll find in his vocabulary.
What the hell did you say to me?
Peter, what are you doing?
You tripping, boy? You're going out if I tell you you're going out, bitch.
Jeez, Peter. You're one passionate pimp. At the Clam, Cleveland finds Quagmire in a state which screams 100 regrets about signing up Peter to be his pimp.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm making a lot of money. I'm actually really happy. I'm actually very hungry.
Nobody's gonna want you if you're fat. You know I hit you and whore you out because I love you, right?
In true Family Guy fashion, this whole escapade gets documented by HBO. Because premium cable content means watching Peter Griffin in a pimp suit, contemplating whether Guardians of the Galaxy might be too scary for him. Oh, and if you didn't figure it out already, Quagmire hates his new job because of obvious reasons.
Being a prostitute is no fun. You have to work nights, weekends. I hear on SNL the women are funnier than the guys now, but I don't know, I'll never see it.
Eventually, both of them run into some hazards of the trade, and with an ominous title like German Things, I can only imagine how horrific the experience would be. Even Peter can't wiggle his way out of this one.
God, she's got us both! Help us, pimps and hoes! Help us, HBO camera crew!
After such a traumatic episode, anyone would see the error of their ways, especially Peter, which is exactly what happens. And he tells Quagmire that he cannot be his pimp anymore. Quagmire's also done with his gigolo days and is waiting for the pilot strike to end, which Peter reveals has ended already.
Hopefully the pilot strike will end soon and I can get my old job back.
Oh, the strike ended a month ago.
The moral of the story? Maybe don't quit your day job for a career in adult entertainment, especially if Peter Griffin offers to be your manager. Also, always check the news. Your regular job might be waiting for you while you're out there living your wildest fantasy. In at number 7 is an episode where Peter discovers his knack for writing, not fiction or any other genre. No, that won't suit Peter's personality. He discovers his talent for writing smut. Yeah, the same guy who couldn't even read a sentence now writes erotica for some reason. It all starts with a visit to a smut store, the perfect place for Peter to get inspired, and also watch a scandalous penny show featuring a woman voting.
Oh, an old-time penny show. The Naughty Flapper Girl. Ah, hot, she's voting.
At the dinner table, Brian discovers Peter reading the smut-filled book and is just as shocked as we were. He has to double-check in order to make sure it's not a repeat of the sandwich incident again.
Wow, Peter, that's a book, isn't it? That's the first time I've seen you reading something that didn't later turn out to just be a sandwich.
After deciding that the smut he's reading isn't smutty enough, a sentence I never thought I'd ever say in my life, Peter decides to pen his own masterpieces. And surprisingly, they're hits. Even Lois is impressed enough to suggest Peter publishing his stuff with the help of her dad, Carter Pewterschmidt, who agrees, but on one rather painful condition that I'm sure came straight out of a Saw movie.
How about I loan you $5? It's at the bottom of this jar of barbed wire and salt.
Ah! Ow! Ow! Why do you keep these things together?
Yeah, maybe owning a rat farm in his basement was a way better business plan than whatever he's putting himself through now. Even barbed wire and salt couldn't stop Peter's dreams of being rich quick, as he manages to get the $5 and publishes his first copies that sell just as quick. He's well on his way to becoming the biggest smut writer in Quahog, until a random car driver gets into an accident while listening to his audiobook.
Wow, from the other side, that's kind of annoying.
Well, that accident comes back to bite someone in the ass, and it's not Peter. It's the guy who is least interested in anything related to Peter. That's right. Carter gets handed a notice that his assets are being seized over the accident claim, but Carter isn't going down without a fight. He's just built different.
Well, Mr. Greenberg, I'd like to see you try to seize my assets after battling the Rancor.
Crisis averted, maybe?
Crisis averted a little bit.
Huh. Didn't realize Greenberg was a Jedi name.
Or maybe not. Fast forward, and Peter finds Carter at his front door with a gun pointed to his face, and with good reason as well.
Your fat bastard husband ruined me. I lost my home, my money, and perhaps just as serious, my wife left me.
Turns out, Peter's venture was the cause of Carter's downfall, as he's forced out of his house. Poor Carter loses everything faster than a Twitter user's followers after a controversial tweet. Peter, realizing that it was his fault Carter is in this position, offers to help in the most not-so-helpful manner.
Look, you can stay with us if you want, you filthy hobo. You shouldn't be embarrassed about mooching off your kids at age 70.
Forced to live with the Griffins, Carter discovers the horrifying truth about middle-class life, including the shocking revelation that you have to wipe your own butt. After Peter tries and fails spectacularly at showing Carter how awesome the life of a regular Joe can be, which it doesn't seem to be so awesome after Carter throws a tantrum about it, meanwhile giving Peter an existential crisis as well.
My God, is this what my whole life is destined to be?
Not unless you do something about it.
One session of thinking while throwing grenades out of your window later, Peter comes up with a bunch of ways to become the newest millionaire in Quahog, and it seems like those grenades were not wasted, because those ideas are really ingenious.
Hey, Meg, we're trying to make some money, and,
now we have the pot and the money.
With greed taking over them, the duo decide to take it up a notch and rob a whole train. That's right, these geniuses are out here robbing trains in 2024. I don't even know what goes on inside their heads anymore. It's like trying to rob a Blockbuster in 2024. You might succeed, but what's the point?
All right, everybody, this is it. Hey, where the hell is everybody?
Oh, we haven't had a paying customer in months. Nobody rides a train anymore.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Peter. Or in this case, a free get-off-the-train ticket from Carter.
Peter, can I speak to you over by the door?
Defeated and out of ideas, Peter and Carter are facing the idea of being lower-class Americans for the rest of their lives, until Carter finds out that his wife is back with half of CNN now in her name after her divorce. Bab, you're the real MVP of this episode. Peter tries cashing in on his friend's newfound wealth, but Carter remembers. Oh, he remembers everything.
All right, buddy, we did it! We're rich!
We? Go to hell, you fat peasant!
Aw, crap.
Remember, folks, if Peter Griffin's writing career teaches us anything, it's that sometimes the best stories are the ones that never should have been written in the first place. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go bleach my brain after imagining Peter Griffin's weird fanfiction. Moving on to our sixth moment is the episode where the Griffins realize that living in Quahog isn't really safe anymore, especially with animals and babies back in some serious heat. Well, that's what convinced Peter Griffin that city life wasn't for his family anymore.
Give a warm Quahog Ocean Land welcome to Bojangles!
All the fish in the bucket now, not one fish at a time as a reward, all of them.
And he's got a gun!
After having their house ransacked by burglars, Peter decides that the family has to move to a farm, but on second thoughts, letting a guy like Peter who can barely take care of himself take the ownership of an entire farm is probably not the best course of action.
I'm looking for a wholesome place for my family to live, so I'd like to buy your farm. Nobody called ahead?
Peter then announces the big news to the family, who initially aren't okay with it, but with Peter's superb persuasion skills, everything starts making sense.
And Chris, you've been telling me how you wanted to watch animals humping other animals.
You were listening the whole time?
Oh, and the house? He sold it on that one website where you can find both drugs and gardening equipment in the same category.
Peter, where'd you even get the money to make that kind of purchase?
I sold the house, and I did it on Craigslist, so I also made a dangerous friend.
Craigslist, where you have a 50-50 chance of getting a killer deal or getting stabbed. Anyways, the family moves into their new farm where Peter is soon hard at work, not at farming or some other farm thing. No, sir. He has bigger priorities.
And is it true that you've been spending the farm's money on gingham shirts you tie into a knot to expose your belly?
I bought a couple.
Lois is always the bearer of bad news, tells everyone that their funds are running low, and if this goes on, they may even lose their farm.
Well, with all this debt and no income, there's no way we're going to be able to keep up our bank payments. Peter, if something doesn't change, I'm afraid we're going to lose this farm.
In a brave display of courage and his own interests at scoring a girl at college, Brian offers to go to college and learn farming to help out the family. Yes, you heard that right. They can afford to send a dog to agricultural school, but can't afford to actually run the farm. While they're sending off Brian, Mother Nature decides to spice things up by sending a tornado their way. Peter, displaying his usual keen observation skills, stays optimistic.
Hang on, guys. It might just be the Tasmanian devil.
Down in the basement, the Griffins discover that maybe their farm offered much more than tomatoes. They make a discovery that would make Walter White have a full-blown seizure. It's a fully functional meth lab. As if it wasn't already obvious from all the tubes and bottles of cold medicine, Meg has to spell it out for everyone.
Oh my god! You guys, there's a fully functional meth lab in our basement.
Lois wants to call the cops, but Peter's head is already full of drugs and ways to sell them to every crackhead in Quahog. He knows this is the perfect opportunity to get rich quick.
I don't know.
Lois, we've always given our family whatever it needs. Well, right now, our family needs us to sell illegal drugs to the tank top community.
Taking the role of being the newest drug dealer in town really seriously, Peter is already ticking off all the boxes, including the one which says he has to be a gun-wielding paranoid person 24/7.
What the hell is going on out there? Come on out, whoever you are! I want to show my kids what it looks like when a bitch dies!
He even hires a bunch of pigeons to smuggle his contraband, which turns out to be a failed venture, especially with a wad of cash, questioning their loyalty.
Now this is the money I owe Peter. I want you to take it back to him. Do you understand?
Soon, it's time for Brian to come back home with his newfound agricultural skills, but it seems like they're not needed anymore.
What the hell? Hey, Brian's home!
Not exactly the kind of welcome you were expecting, huh, Brian? Lois, distraught by how their business is destroying Quahog and changing the Griffins for the worst, packs up and convinces everyone to go back home. Peter, at first, is reluctant to leave, but changes his mind when he remembers how he was running his entire operation.
But what about this farm? And this house? And the lab inside the house, which is currently producing an incredibly volatile and explosive batch of thermoreactive chemicals?
And so his dreams of being rich are dashed again by his own actions, but that's kind of what we expect from the guy who can't even tell his butt from a random hole in the ground.
Is that my ass?
Oh, and there's a pigeon still flying around with drug money, probably living its best life in the Bahamas. At least somebody made it out ahead in the scheme. Sitting at our number 5 spot is an episode from season 4, where Peter realizes that it's about time he gets straight and earns money not by robbing banks or scamming people like he always does, and fails. This time, he's gonna do it like a regular Joe by catching fish. But when Peter Griffin decides to become a fisherman, it's less old man and the sea and more fat man and please don't let him near a boat. Our tale begins with Peter Griffin proud owner of a boat that, miracle of miracles, isn't actively sinking. Unable to afford his crew, Peter does what any reasonable captain would do, fires them, literally. Because apparently, "you're fired" is more than just a catchphrase when Peter Griffin's your boss.
Can't afford to keep you. I'm gonna have to put you down. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Returning home empty-handed, or should I say empty-netted, Peter faces his toughest critic, Lois. When she reminds him that the family depends on him to provide, it hits harder than an iceberg hitting the Titanic.
Peter, we have a family to feed. We all count on you to provide for us.
I know, and I feel terrible.
Down with luck, Peter heads to the clam to whine about his fish-catching problems to his friends. And as he's doing exactly that, Seamus pops in with his amazing ability to make anything dramatic.
If it's fish you want, Pelican's Reef is where you'll find them. I've seen fish there. More fish than you could possibly imagine. Fish as far as the eye can see. Lots and lots of fish, I guess would be the main bullet point of this presentation.
So, this is what went on inside Peter's head. He's a fisherman who catches fish, and Pelican's Reef has fish. Bingo! That's exactly the place he's been looking for. But what his brain, with an attention span of 3 seconds, didn't catch was the equally dramatic warning Seamus just gave them. Like every good infomercial, there's a "but wait" moment.
Many have gone, all have been lost. Vanished, never to be seen again. No one has ever come back, I guess would be the central theme of what I'm trying to get across here.
Peter knows only one thing now, and that's catching as much fish as he can. And so he sets off on his quest to be the richest fisherman in Quahog. Before leaving, he gives Brian the responsibility to take care of the family, because somehow the dog is more responsible than anyone else in the family. Says a lot about the Griffins. Peter is so considerate, he even builds a widow's watch for Lois to look out at the sea and wait for Peter to return, although what we missed in pointing out is that Peter lives miles inland.
Peter, I'm really not comfortable stepping foot on this.
Lois, I gotta leave in like 5 minutes.
Is this Scotch tape?
Oh, you drunk.
You should have known better than to step onto anything Peter has built, Lois. Peter and his friends set sail, following their sacred maritime tradition of drinking all the beer before actually doing any fishing. Waking up one morning, the gang realizes they're finally at Pelican's Reef. How do they know that? Well, because of fish everywhere, like Seamus predicted, of course.
Oh my God, there's fish everywhere.
Wow, this must be Pelican's Reef.
Holy crap, we're rich!
Meanwhile, what they're not able to see is a giant hurricane heading straight for them. After hauling enough fish to make them richer than whoever the Elon Musk of fishing is, they meet an unexpected guest who brings some unfortunate news.
Hey, Death, what are you doing here?
Me? Oh, I'm here 'cause of that.
And who better than Seamus to describe the aftermath of this tragic end to Peter's fishing enterprise?
And their vessel was swept to the bottom of the briny deep, swallowed whole by the treacherous, unforgiving sea. They sank, I guess would be the one thing to take away from this part of the seminar.
So ends another chapter in Peter's saga of getting rich as quickly as he can without thinking about the consequences of his actions, or maybe thinking at all. Zooming in to the 4th spot, we have an episode which starts off with Peter taking Carter to his bachelor party. Yes, a bachelor party for an already married man. The night starts with Carter having all the enthusiasm of a sloth on sleeping pills. But nothing fixes a bad mood quite like having alcohol forcefully poured down your throat.
Why don't you get a lap dance, Mr. Pewterschmidt?
No, Peter's crippled friend, I think I'm just gonna leave.
With a gallon of booze pumped into him and Joe shouting straight at him like he's about to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, he starts to get into the mood. Maybe a tad bit too much, actually.
Now, for crying out loud, just drink this. And you, give this old bastard the ride of his life. Yeah!
That go, Carter!
Get some! Get some!
Hey, Joe, that's like right in my ear.
So much so that his heart decides to clock out earlier than usual, and he has to be driven to the hospital. And that's where we get a cameo from the one doctor you're glad and afraid of ever meeting. Good old Dr. House, the doctor who wants to seriously drive home the message that he does not play by the rules.
Dr. House, if you're gonna save this patient, you'll need this.
Get this thing out of my sight!
On second thought, letting Dr. House take the reins on this one isn't such a great idea, especially considering the fact that he's addicted to pain meds as well. Between his medical advice and his pill popping, it's hard to tell which is more concerning, the patient's condition or the doctor's.
I think I can help.
What are you doing?
My job. Sometimes people fake being in a coma. This man's not.
Pretty soon, the Griffins get a visit from Carter's lawyer, who has a taped will from Carter in case he ever gets into an emergency, and this man prepares for every possible death scenario, including death by chocolate, which, let's be honest, is how most of us would prefer to go.
Stabbed to death in a Toys R Us bathroom. 1940s roller skate left in the hall. Death by chocolate. No, leave it in. Had a heart attack and have slipped into a coma.
Here we go.
It turns out Carter has left his entire company to Lois in case he's ever in a coma, but Lois does not want the responsibility, in which case Peter swoops in after sensing that this is a great opportunity to finally see his bank account roll into double figures. All right, this is it. I'm setting up bets on how quickly he can run this company into the ground. I'm thinking 24 hours maybe? Even Lois isn't sure of Peter's decision, and for good reason. But Peter has a newfound principle, and it's inspired by House.
You have no experience.
You know what that is, Lois? That's you playing by the rulebook. And I don't play by the rulebook. Right, Dr. House?
Fast forward, and Peter is already in a suit, ready to set fire, take control of his newfound empire. He just does not care that the company is setting records. He wants to see heads roll for absolutely nothing.
But sir, the company's doing fine. Better than ever, in fact. Mr. Pewterschmidt would...
I don't care what Mr. Pewterschmidt would have done. We need to take risks. We need a complete overhaul. Gentlemen, you're all fired.
Lois, on hearing everything that's been going down at the company, decides to confront Peter about his shenanigans, when Peter, on full power tripping mode, deals with her just as swiftly. Oh, and he already has a replacement figured out, which is messed up on a whole new level.
Look, Peter, all I'm saying is those guys have been with Daddy for years. How are you supposed to run that company without them?
That's it, Lois, you're fired. Chris, you are now Meg's mother.
Peter's business strategy is simple. Fire anyone who knows what they're doing and replace them with his dream team. A dog who can't file taxes, a pervert who treats HR guidelines like a suggestion box, and a pharmacist whose business experience consists entirely of counting pills.
You are a team of executives I can trust. Brian, Quagmire, Mort, you are going to be my creative team. You are going to help me lead this company into the future.
And the products they come up with, do not get me started on those.
Here are the products we'll be unveiling in the new fiscal year. The African American Heart Monitor.
Yeah. Oh, he did.
When Carter wakes up, he finds Peter treating his company like a personal playground. He confronts Peter in his former office and demands for him to relinquish control of the company, which he's not willing to do.
Griffin, get the hell out of my building!
Holy crap, Mr. Pewterschmidt, you're okay!
You're damn right I'm okay, and I'm here to reassume charge of my company.
Maybe I don't want to leave.
Carter is left ruined, while Peter goes around flying in his private plane and landing literally anywhere he chooses, even in the middle of his own street. And if you're asking how the pilots were okay with it, then here's your answer.
You know something? You're not qualified to sit in that chair.
Oh, aren't I?
Maybe there's a rabbit head under here.
If you still didn't get it, Quagmire is on drugs. A whole lot of drugs. After getting a whole yapping session from Lois, Peter finally agrees to reach an understanding with Carter and asks him to be at his office, followed by a rather evil laugh that says everything about what's coming next.
I'm sure we can figure something out.
I don't know if I like the sound of that laugh.
Peter instead forces him to work as a janitor, have and invite people to his mansion for a Big Bang Theory viewing party, and pay compliments to random Asian men? Weird way to get paybacks, Peter. Carter is embarrassed, so he and Lois trick Peter into surrendering the company by scaring him with the thing Peter is afraid of most. Lois tells Peter that if he wishes to save himself, he has to sign the company over to Carter, which he does, ending his run as a rich businessman with the world within his fat palms. But hey, whatever keeps the swamp monster away, right?
Quick, Peter, sign this legal document giving the company back to Daddy so you won't get eaten.
I don't understand, but nothing makes sense in these swamp monster times.
In the end, it took a fake swamp monster to bring down Peter's empire. That's right, the man who fearlessly crashed planes into his street and fired an entire board of directors runs away from a guy who looks like he came straight out of the dirty moss-infested Paris Olympic pools. Saturated Fat Guy is the episode that has found its way to the 3rd place on our list. It's the one where Peter realizes his true calling, making people as unhealthy as humanly possible, one sandwich at a time, while also making some serious dough on the side. Excuse the pun. The episode starts off with Lois getting her hands on a PBS documentary about the dangers of junk food, and let's just say they got inspired by Wall-E a bit too much. Still not sure how they got away with it.
At this rate, this is what the future will look like.
Who gives?
Those are flying cars, but the people in them are too fat.
Oh no, I left my baby in there!
The documentary ends with featuring a website's name that looks like it was made up by a 2-year-old. However, Lois is terrified, and just like every other white mom, she's more determined than ever to stuff vegetables and weird exotic green stuff down everyone's throats, whether they like it or not. And by the looks of it, it's gonna be impossible to do that with Peter.
What's this stuff that looks like sand? Ugh, fine.
Peter, knock it off.
I can't help it. My body's rejecting it.
Just look at him. It's like his body literally attempts an exorcism of vegetables. Unable to deal with it anymore, Peter decides to finally get some junk food into his system, like every fat guy waiting for a cardiac arrest should.
I'm sick of all this healthy crap. I'm going downstairs to find something good to eat.
However, the kitchen is wiped clean by Lois, and Peter isn't the only one struck with the bad news.
There's nothing.
Thank you, son.
Running for the nearest mart to make the unhealthiest sandwich known to man, Peter comes across a whole underground society of husbands, united by their shared trauma of being force-fed foods with names longer than their life expectancy. Meanwhile, his sandwiches, they're fire, and everyone wants one, and that's when Peter gets to do some math.
If I sell 2 sandwiches for $10 each, that equals... money.
So comes Peter's $1 million revelation. If he sells sandwiches that could make a cardiologist cry, people will pay good money for them. Thus, his food truck business is born. Lois confronts him about it, but Peter has some solid arguments backing up his stand against healthy food.
I mean, you can eat Sprouts and vegan crap your entire life and still get devoured by gremlins, and none of it matters.
So you're saying you shouldn't take care of yourself because you might get devoured by gremlins?
Get a clue, mama.
Can't argue with that logic, mostly because trying would give you a headache. After Lois finds out everyone on the street is hounding Peter's new food truck filled with M&Ms and Dr. Pepper cereal, yes, an actual thing he's selling, she gets mad at him and throws him out of the house, which he doesn't really care about since he has a kitchen on wheels. But what he didn't account for was the fact that he's next to a diabetes factory and his willpower isn't really the best. Living in a food truck surrounded by his own creations, Peter becomes his best customer. He balloons up so much that when his lifelong dream of being captured by a Bing Street map car finally arrives, he can't even get out of his truck to photobomb it.
Damn it! I can't fit through the door! I'm stuck in the truck! Oh my god, Bing! Bing! Over here, Bing!
They can't see you, Peter. You're facing away from the street.
He eventually has to be hoisted out of his food truck after being stuck in it for a while, which has to be embarrassing, even for someone like Peter. This marks yet another end to a failed get-rich venture by the most ambitious and stupid fat guy in Quahog.
Nobody look! This is a private, gross matter!
Winning the second spot on the countdown is the episode from the second season where Peter discovers that he can slither his way to the ownership of an entire mansion and be filthy rich just by sticking close to Lois. In this episode, the Griffins get a rather brief visit by Lois's aunt, Marguerite, who thinks the best time to kick the bucket is right at their doorstep, much to the delight of you-know-who.
Aunt Marguerite? Lois. Oh my god.
Oh.
She's dead.
Whoa! Careful what you wish for, huh, Lois?
At the funeral, Peter can't stop reminiscing about all the times the Carter family treated him like crap because he never had money, which is not surprising, honestly. But some of these actions are straight up uncalled for, if you ask me.
Oh, I dropped my watch. Peter, would you be a sport and fetch it for me?
Sure thing, Mr. Pewterschmidt.
Peter, we've got to put that out.
After finding out Lois's aunt left something for the Griffins as well, Peter forgets literally everything he was whining about and gets a tad much more ecstatic than he should.
Holy crap! Oh, you sweet old broad, I love you. Hey! Oh my God, she's dead.
A videotaped message from Aunt Marguerite informs Lois that she has inherited Cherrywood Manor in Newport, Rhode Island. On arrival, the family is given a pretty cool welcome by the workers.
We only live to kiss your ass.
Kiss it? Here, we'll even wipe it for you.
From here on in, it's easy street.
That is, until the song ends and Peter realizes hiring house help requires money. Speaking of which, his first brilliant move after moving? Selling their house in Quahog, because apparently, having a backup plan is for people who don't own butlers.
It's time you started living like the piece of Schmidt you are.
That's Pewterschmidt.
Wait, you guys, you're all hired to be full-time Griffin servants.
Peter, where are we gonna get the money to pay all these people?
Simple, I sold our house in Quahog.
Peter announces that the family is about to move into their newfound mansion after selling his house back in Quahog. As they're exploring the mansion, the family comes across some pretty unusual housemates.
Come play with us, Stewie. Forever and ever and ever.
Yes, all work and no play makes Stewie a dull boy.
The mansion, it turns out, comes with some unexpected roommates, creepy ghost girls straight out of The Shining. But they're no match for Stewie, especially now that he has his own private army of butlers at his disposal.
Question me again, I'll put you on diaper detail, and I promise I won't make it easy for you.
When Peter arrives at a ritzy auction that night, Lois is shocked to see him behaving himself and conversing easily with the upper crust crowd. Unfortunately, he also appears to believe himself fabulously wealthy, the kind who just make up numbers and expects a random accountant to pay up for it.
We have a new record for the Historical Society. The vessel goes to
$100 million.
Mr. Peter Griffin for an astonishing $100 million.
Lois demands that the family return to Quahog as soon as possible. She says that she left Newport because it changed people in much the same way that her family is changing, but Peter is not budging at all. In fact, he's hell-bent on staying.
Oh, I wish we'd never come here in the first place.
Oh, pshaw. Here, go buy yourself some more money.
Although Brian manages to make Peter snap back to reality, he is still $100 million short on covering his auction bid when a representative from the Historical Society comes to collect.
Hey, what about this house? I could just give him the house and call it even.
Cherrywood isn't worth $100 million.
And so, he gets to work manipulating the guy into thinking some historical event happened at Cherrywood, which he should have consulted with someone because half of this stuff is damn near unbelievable.
So you're saying that Jesus carved his name into this mantle 51 years before he was born?
Yeah, he's Jesus. He can do anything. And look over here. That's where the stock market crashed.
After several futile attempts to prove that Cherrywood Manor has enough historical value to cover the bid, Peter finds a set of hidden photographs. Photographs which proved Cherrywood was a historical place, enough to sell it to the Historical Society for a $100 million, and even get his house back. Somewhere in Newport, there's probably still a group of rich people telling the story about the time a guy tried to pay $100 million with historical vibes. And honestly, that might be the most valuable thing Peter ever contributed to society. Taking the #1 spot on our list is the time when Peter teams up with Quagmire and Mort to cash in on an insurance claim. Just how exactly they do that is enough to make Joe throw them in jail, even though they're his best friends. Joe does not play around, does he? We start off with Brian, looking for his steak bone, which happens to be lying conveniently in Peter's path as he's driving his lawnmower. What happens next is enough to convince me that Family Guy characters are straight up immortal.
Oh! Holy crap, Quagmire, you all right?
You literally shot him with a piece of bone, Peter. Right in his head, too. Why would you think he's okay? Instead of taking Quagmire to a licensed medical professional like he should, Peter decides that he's a doctor now and removes the bone himself. I mean, how hard can it be, right?
Oh boy, all right, hold still, Quagmire. Ah! Oh my god, a piece of your brain came out.
Immediately afterwards, we cut to Quagmire getting sewed up by Dr. Hartman, even though we just saw a piece of his brain being removed, which technically should have killed him, but Quagmire doesn't need a brain to function, does he? Quagmire gets prescribed medicine that he has to get from Mort's pharmacy, who seems to be dealing with his own problems. Not the bones lodged in your head kind.
What? What's the matter?
The pharmacy's going under. I can barely pay my bills.
Feeling bad for Mort, Peter and Quagmire come to his rescue and offer their help in getting him back up on his feet. Their methods are quite useless, to say the least. They even start working at his pharmacy, an idea that was doomed right from the start. Seriously, who in the world thought of sorting pills this way? They tried to help out, but make things worse and end up killing a busload of teenagers. Desperate, Mort tells of how his cousin's place burned down, leaving him with a large settlement, which gives Peter an idea.
Too bad we can't just torch the pharmacy.
And so the gang gets together to burn Mort's pharmacy. And Mort has it all planned out, like he was always waiting for this day to arrive.
Geez, Mort, how the hell do you know how to do all this?
Oh, it's all covered in the Torah.
After successfully burning down the pharmacy and having an excellent alibi that required dressing up a weird llama thing in his clothes, Peter and the gang finally get to claim the settlement. And Peter gets bragging rights for a rare success in one of his get-rich-quick schemes.
I'm not gonna lie, if I won the lottery, I would buy the world's most expensive gaming chair. The one with the computer built into it. But yo, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and or subscribe. It's your boy BlastphamousHD. Twisms.